Yeah, it was. Man, I wanted to say I went back and listened to an interview that Ethan did. I think it was from April 2nd, maybe. But
Okay.
I was super impressed, man, with just his like his logic and just his thinking overall, man. Um, I like what he said about the like the biblical quotes
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like using it to make something special. Like you can tell he's all in. He's stoked, man.
He is.
So
He is. He's really. I thought he was in a good place last year. With the coaching staff we had and things like that, and he was coming into a good environment. Of course, as we all experienced, that kind of went on its head
right,
in November and December, and I think we got the better end of the deal. That's for sure. Um,
totally.
with him, with Venables coming in and his staff coming in, they're all very upright, good men, and they want to raise and teach good, upright men. I sent a letter to one of them one time, and I said, just understand you're responsible for him becoming.
Right,
And becoming is a loose term. Becoming a man, becoming a player, becoming their formative years are right now.
right.
So I think them going through the adversity they had, and then for Ethan specifically coming out on the other side with a good Christian man coach and just the environment and the positive reinforcement is far different than what it was before.
There's actually had some. They actually give a crap. It seems like they're not. Well, let's get these W's first, and then we can work on
Right.
how you feel about something. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's funny how it's all playing out now. I mean, with especially the latest thing with the receiver from Pittsburgh, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just some wild stuff, man. I just like I don't know what's going on behind the scenes or whatever. And
Well, I think you, the difference is you have principled people now, where
oh, nice. I
you didn't
like
have
that.
the same principle at heart before.
Yeah,
And somebody that doesn't have a lot of principle and integrity is going to go out and they're going to find ways to go around the system and do something on the up and up just to try to gain an upper hand. And that can be football, it can be anything else. But if you're a principled person, you're going to do everything the right way, and you're going to try to do it right the first time. Even and if you fail, you got to get up and do it again.
yeah.
But you don't deflect that attention elsewhere. You don't deflect the negativity. Like Lincoln had recently in that article he did. He wrote 5,000 words and didn't say anything that we didn't already know.
All right.
He was just responding to Spencer Rattler saying that the locker room was toxic. So I give more credence to Spencer in that scenario than I do the old head coach. So,
Well, I mean, you could tell from the outside there was something toxic going inside that locker room. I mean, the division was just. I mean, you'd be blind not to see the division in the locker room just by watching a game or just taking in
well,
5 minutes.
and the fan base didn't help anything in the early part of the
Oh
season.
man.
They were, chanting to bench Spencer and bring out Caleb.
Mm.
That didn't help anything. And, that's just kind of a I want it right now mentality that we've got to, as a fan base, mature through and trust that the coaches are doing the right thing. But that going on and not being addressed in press conferences and things, I think is what really led to that toxic environment, because he tries to still, basically drag both quarterbacks along as you're the star. Let's just give this other one a chance for a minute. And oh, shoot, he's a star now. And well, we'll give you a chance. And yeah, it had to be very frustrating for the upperclassmen, the case that Spencer is now, to endure all that.
Yeah. I know. My experience when my motives are right, whenever I'm going into something, if my motives are right, it's gonna happen. Like it's gonna work itself out, and it's gonna go smoothly.
Yeah.
But if you got any kind of not like negative thinking or I guess
Well, if you're selfish about it too.
yeah, self thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy too how someone like that could be in such a position of power. I mean, that's head Paul coach at USC is obviously a big thing. I don't know why, but and he's just wasting so many kids' talents. He can't develop for shit. Excuse my language, but like he talks about development, and Caleb Williams does, but then they go and they take 2 months to go to another school, and it's like, so if you jump from school to school, you're not developing anything.
Yeah.
Like you're just developing terrible habits. Terrible habits.
Right. Well, and most of that development's going to come through the secondary level as far as the coaches, the position coaches, things like that. But I don't know. I tend to give Lincoln Riley too much of my time thinking about what ifs or whys, and sometimes I'd just rather not.
It's because you like you're so hurt. I know what you're saying, bud. Like I take it personally too, and I'm not even a player, but I know what a head football coach means to me as a player. And so I totally get what you're saying, dude. I'm passionate as hell about dogging on him because he's not a man. I'm sorry, but it takes a great man to be a great coach. Like I'm sure,
Yeah.
like there's a difference between a good man and like a great man,
He's young too, and as much experience as he does have, there's a lot of experience he hasn't had yet. So Lincoln Riley will grow through this, and hopefully he will do great things personally for him. But I really don't care one way or the other.
Right.
He's at SC because it's going to be easier.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's it. He's going to have a support base in the media, and he's going to have an opportunity to develop kids because they're going to be even more underdeveloped to start with out there.
Yep.
So
big time.
They'll find a way to spin it one way or the other. But going back to who we've got now, the standard that's set forth, be it a biblical standard or not, the standard is still the standard, and you can't argue a single point of it. Those rules and those ideals come from a Christian book, but they could just as easily be pulled out of other texts just the same and have just as much weight and just as much meaning.
Yeah,
so,
the result's still the same. Everybody wins. Like,
yeah,
it's yeah. That's another thing I like about Ethan too. Is like he's only a sophomore, and he's like leads like a fifth-year senior, man. Like just the way he's able to step up, and he does it with his play as well. Like he doesn't ever give up, man. I was watching this play against I can't remember who it was, man, but he was like 10 yards behind the play, and he ran the dude down and caused a fumble. He punched the ball out
of Western Carolina.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he just, man.
I tell you what, I've got a story from Pee Wee football for you. He was probably Division II, so this would have been fourth grade, something like that. And of course, he's a head taller than everybody else still in fourth grade.
Hell yeah.
But we were playing the Cash team, Cash Bulldogs, and they always had this gimmicky wedge play where they would snap the ball and the whole line would just push forward and the quarterback would run in the middle until he could squirt out, right? So it was annoying. Ethan was on the edge just like he is now. And they ran that play, and this kid squirted through, and he had a good 15 yards head start going down the field, and they were on about the 20, so they were going the opposite way all the way down to the touchdown. He had about a 15-yard head start. I yelled from the side. I think I was on the sideline, like helping as a parent coach or something. I was like, "Ethan, run!" He turned and looked, saw this kid, and took off running just as fast as he could, and he caught him on the 5-yard line.
Nice.
And didn't blast through him, just grabbed the kid and then laid him down. 15 yards and caught back up to him.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah. I seen that picture of him at a tip-off at junior high game, I guess it was.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. He was like that all the time. And because he was different, he was not only different in that he was the big kid in class and the big kid in school, but he was more mature. He was quieter, kind of stayed to the back a little bit. There was a lot of things that he didn't understand about other kids his age, that they would do things or they would be on TikTok or Snapchat or whatever. And he didn't understand why they did some of the things we just had a lot of talks. about people and psychology and what society's doing, that kind of thing. So I tried to implant a broader understanding of society and civilization and people in general in him, and I think that's helped him a lot. And he has definitely gravitated toward Christianity very strong, and I think that's a great place for him to be, because that will set that foundation in him for future growth. So that's exciting.
Yeah, definitely exciting. And he was like a dual sport athlete in high school, right? He did track and then shot put champ.
Yeah,
Junior year.
His junior year, he was the shot put state champ.
Nice.
And his senior year, he didn't run track. He left and went early to OU, but we weren't sure if we were going to have a senior season. That was right after all the COVID stuff had hit. Weren't sure how that was going to go, and that's kind of what we made the decision to go ahead and finish early, and that way he could enroll in school in January. So he had a couple of classes he had to get done in a few weeks, and he went and did them, and he was ready to go by the deadline. So now, but going back to track, he was shot. He threw disc. He was never really great throwing the disc. Kind of tore up the tips of his fingers pretty bad.
Oh, okay.
So he ran a lot. They were state runner-up that year also, track. But always been active, always been doing something since he was the littlest guy, whether he was playing basketball or playing soccer.
Nice.
Until it got to be football time, and then
nice.
Came in. And when we moved here, we signed him up for football that fall, and that was his first taste of tackle football, and he really enjoyed it.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, he's been doing something ever since, whether it was football or basketball or track or just off-season weightlifting, wrestling. Wrestling was a big help to him in junior high and the first part of high school.
Oh, when did they put him in pads down here?
As young as second and third grade. If you have an older second grader or a younger third grader, there's for the, some people call it Pop Warner. We call it Pee Wee football out here. Most of the leagues have rules as far as the size of kids, so you can't always. After Ethan's first year playing Pee Wee football, he had a red sticker.
Yeah, red stripe.
Because he was too heavy. He was over 125 pounds or whatever in third grade and couldn't line up and carry the ball anymore. But if he knocked it loose or caught an interception, that was the way he was going to score a touchdown.
Right. Yeah. And up north, they don't put him in pads till fifth grade.
Yeah.
That's
early. Different in different places.
Yeah.
And we still have out here, we still have flag football. We have the YMCA locally does football.
Nice.
And flag football. So
those 7-on-7 camps seem to be like the new thing, man. I know there's one down in Houston there. It's pretty good.
It's a skill position deal. Have you ever heard of the Sooner 7?
I haven't.
A guy named Derek Rasmussen. He was a quarterback coach for a long time. He is the head coach of the Sooner 7.
Oh, okay.
Sooner 7v7. They're a pretty good team that travels around. They've got, I want to say they've got 2 high school teams and 1 or 2 junior high teams.
Nice.
And they travel around the region. Ethan played with them a little bit. He filled in for a tight end one time in Dallas, and we just couldn't travel as much during that time. He was invited to go play on that team, but we're just traveling too much.
Man, that's cool. I didn't know about that. That's cool, man.
Yeah. I wish they had something similar to that for linemen.
Right. Yeah. That's
O-line and D-line. Cause 7v7 is, I say it's great. It's good for your skill position players. I don't think it's that great for the quarterbacks as far as development, because there's no pressure that they have to deal with. You don't have to worry about throwing over a 6'5" lineman.
Yeah.
You can just see the whole field.
Right.
But it's good for, certain parts of it. I know our previous head coach didn't like 7-on-7, and I could totally, in that moment, I agree with him. I don't like 7-on-7 that much either, in that it's over relied on for stats.
Yeah.
7v7 king. Well, get him out there amongst some real linemen that are going to pressure him, and we'll see if he can throw those dimes. So
I find that odd, because like about Riley, because I would think that he would be a great 7-on-7 coach. seeing as he never waters the grass, like where the offensive and defensive linemen are always at, man. Like you have
Yeah.
to have the boys up front to set the tone on either side of the ball, and like you said, to protect the quarterback, and they just didn't.
Yeah, that's cornerbacks, nickelbacks. Some linebackers do good in that 7v7 stuff, but a lot of times it's on the team that they take. The kid plays both sides of the ball, which is not a bad thing either. You learn tricks and you learn steps and moves and things like that too.
So it's more like geared toward athletes, I guess. Or I mean, they're all athletes, but
It's the skill position players
Yeah.
instead of the big guys.
it's exciting to
Mhm.
watch for sure. So did oh, you didn't play basketball? It was track season, right? Track and basketball around the
Mhm.
same time.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you're the director of the pavilion. It's like a pavilion over there.
Well, it's Pioneer Cellular Event Center is the facility, and it's a 90,000 square foot arena
Ooh,
on campus, and we host. Of course, we do basketball and volleyball in here for the university, and then we host a lot of events, whether it's a concert or a trade show or um, weddings, parties, all kinds of stuff. It's a big facility. It's built about 7 years ago, and I want to say we see a little over 100,000 guests a year.
that's pretty good.
So when it's not COVID time, of course, but
Right.
we're getting back to normal now. We've got graduations coming up this week, so we're going to have between 7 and 10,000 people over the next several days.
Yeah. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
What is that? Weatherford is about 5,000 people, or
Weatherford's closer to 12.
okay.
It's about an hour west of Oklahoma City. And Southwestern Oklahoma State University is the university that's out here. It's a regional school, Division II, NCAA. It's a great place to send your kids if you're in the city. Quick little pitch for SWASU out here.
I actually do have a couple questions for you from the audience. I called them out after our last little meeting.
What do they got?
This from Kill Bill. He was wondering asking if Ethan did any like individual training or anything special like that when he was younger, coming up playing.
So the answer to that is no. Aside from going out in the yard and throwing or running some drills at home, most of the football work he got was at school, at the high school. What we did do a lot of was we went to camps a lot. And advice I would give parents that have athletes that they think are going to be pretty good, even if they're not good right now, the way you get better is to go to camp and train.
Right.
And he learned more from those camps his freshman, sophomore, and junior season than just about anything else. And if we had the means to send him to a D-line camp or something like that, and it was close to us, we probably could have. But the closest D-line camp's in Dallas. And there's that I know of anyway. And there's a guy down there that takes kids every week. They'll come and drop them off or whatever on Tuesday and Thursday, and he'll work with them for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And they, pay fees just like you would get private training for anything else. But no, we didn't do any camps or any specific training, things like that. But I know one summer we probably spent about $12,000 going to camps.
Damn.
Between hotels and traveling, and we'd turn it into a vacation.
Right.
And a lot of traveling.
That's some
and
major.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It's paid off.
Right.
Maybe not financially, but it's paid off right here emotionally, in that he's been able to be as successful as he can be, and that's what you want for your kids.
Yep.
So you're willing to bend over backwards and break yourself sometimes in order to see that their dreams have the greatest chance of happening.
That's good stuff right there, man. There's way too many, especially now, like fathers that just abandon their children, man. And there's parents that abandon their children. And
you have the opposite end of the spectrum too, where you have parents that are sending their kids to 2 or 3 after school programs a week, or they're going to camps regularly. They've got private training. You can burn a kid out And I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
start doing that stuff until they're at least in high school, because it's not that you're wasting your time doing it while they're younger. It's just that their interests and their body type are going to change. And while they may be an excellent athlete in junior high, they may not be by the time they're a senior in high school.
Yeah.
The opposite of that is you may have somebody that's terribly unathletic and rides the bench all the time, that's, a four-star recruit in high school.
Right.
So
Right.
you never know how that's going to go. You want to support them however you can, but I wouldn't do it too early, is my advice.
I played with a kid in basketball, 8th grade, and every mistake he would like, it would be a mistake to his dad, and he'd be up in the bleachers with a notepad and a pen. And after the game, they would go home and he would make his kid work on that stuff. And I'm
We,
like,
we
man,
talked. We
that's
talk after every game,
yeah.
and we talk about some highlights. And Ethan's his own worst critic. Trust me.
Oh, I bet.
He's
I bet.
very hard on himself, and he's had to get past some of that, because it would, in high school, it would affect him into his next game sometimes. It's like, oh,
No.
what if? And you're like, don't. You got to put all that behind you.
Yeah.
Once that play's over, it's done. It's history. You've got to move to the next play, and you got to forget everything bad you just did. And him being such a person of conscience, he always overthought. And some nights we didn't talk about football when he got home. We just, how's your homework today or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
how's the girlfriend, or they'd go to Jerry's after the game, local overnight restaurant.
Nice.
So they'd go down there and hang out till midnight or 1 and have a milkshake and come back home. But
Nice. It's good stuff, man.
yeah.
I know last time we were talking about the Rotary Club there,
Yes,
and they got a pretty killer lunch, huh?
they got a good lunch. I'm in the Rotary Club. I've been in the Rotary Club for almost 10 years now, and I'm president this year.
Nice.
And I was telling you last time we spoke, one of the things the Rotary Club does is it's a giant fundraising organization, and the primary goal of Rotary has been to eradicate polio.
Yeah.
Polio has been a blight on the earth forever, and it's debilitating, specifically for children. Basically just robs them of their motion and mobility, and then they end up dying. It's just, polio is horrible. So the reason we don't hear about polio much is because we've almost eradicated it. In the 100 years that Rotary's been working on that problem, I think this year, like I was telling you before, there's only been 2 cases in the Pashtun region of Pakistan of polio in the whole world. That's it. So once that organization sets its mind on something, they follow it through to the end. So
Nice,
we're still waiting to get those last few polio cases eradicated, and then we'll be polio free as a race on the earth.
Took a
So
full
Rotary does a
century.
lot of stuff. In Weatherford, we do the 4th of July program. So we split the fireworks with the city, and then we host a big park picnic out there at Raider Park. And we also do the Heartland Cruise Car Show, which is around Father's Day coming up. And that's a big car show we do here every year, and we raise money for the DARE program and give that money to the police department. They've got a real active DARE program with school resource officers, things like that. So we give them $15,000 to $20,000 a year in order to buy little things they need, or pay for speakers and things like that to come in and talk to them.
Very cool. Those resource teachers like that, they're pretty key too, and the success of these students and student athletes at whatever school. I know I had a couple teachers that I really relied on. It was crazy, man. I was reading some articles, and I come across this one is my old football coach, Randy Tucker. And I was like, I never thought I'd run into that guy again, like, ever in my life, man. He just made an impression on me when I was real young, playing football. And I actually got to talking to him and stuff, and he's gonna be making an appearance on the Boomercast here in a couple weeks or so. But it's just wild how the world works like that, It's just
Careful, he'll start telling some stories about you too.
What's that?
I said he'll start telling some stories about you too.
Right. Heck yeah, man. It's pretty cool how it comes full circle like that, man. I don't know. It's oh yeah. I actually wanted to hit on I forgot Scott Frost. you were talking about how good of a guy he was, and the shot put story about.
Yeah. So we went to Nebraska, and they offered him freshman year, the summer of the freshman year,
Dang.
as when Nebraska offered, and we went up there for their Friday Night Lights camp. Friday Night Lights or Saturday Night Lights, I don't remember. But that was a really cool experience. Of course, I hadn't been to Lincoln, Nebraska before, and hadn't seen the stadium. And of course, Ethan and my wife hadn't either. And it's a very imposing place. If you haven't been there before, it's awesome. It looks like a giant cathedral, you know,
Nice.
like a Roman Colosseum kind of a thing. Anyway, we do the camp and we go up afterwards, and we're talking to the coaching staff, and they offer, and we go visit with Scott, and he's just in there, you know, blue jeans. He's kind of like Mike Gundy in that he's just a country boy,
Nice.
you know, that's dresses up when he has to. Otherwise, he's
Right.
you know, cut off jean shorts and a ball cap running
Right.
back roads, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was telling us some stories, what he used to do as a kid, running around in the country and, you know, driving down snowy roads and getting stuck and just doing things that high school kids do. And they got to talking about shot put, and Ethan had told him that he was getting better and he was throwing in the 50s and this and that. And he's like, well, that's good. You let me know when you can throw 72 and we'll talk. And Ethan's eyes just got real big, and he's like, you threw a 72? It might have been 72 or 4. I don't remember the exact number, but yeah, Scott was like, yeah, my senior year in high school, I got all stated and set a school record. So
Nice.
that's kind of neat. But you know, there's a couple things that Scott told us, and he was one of our earlier offers, so we got to talk to him as a head coach early on, and
Nice.
he said, coaches will tell you anything to get you to come play for them. And, you know, that always lingered in the back of your mind. And as we're going through the recruiting process, you want to be receptive to every school, right? So
Right.
when you go to Oklahoma State, you wear an Oklahoma State shirt. When you go to Texas, you wear a Texas shirt. LSU, you wear an LSU. Right. So you want to get an offer from the place. You're not going to go there and not act like you care about or support their team at all, or you're not probably going to get an offer.
Right.
But going through the different coaches and sitting in the offices and things like that, a few of them kind of stood out as they're feeding you a line of BS. And Ed Ogeron was one of them.
Oh, no, really?
Complete BS line. So you sit down in the office, and we kind of surprised them. They didn't know we were coming that day, but I called them when we were about 2 hours out driving through, and they set us up a little deal where we could put him in uniform and all that stuff. Gave us a quick little unofficial tour, and we go sit down in Ed's office, and he comes in, and you know the voice, it's very characteristic.
I need another cigarette.
Exactly. He starts talking about family and stuff. So he reaches over behind him, he grabs his picture off the wall, pulls it and sets it down. And as he does, he kind of flips it around backwards before he sets it down. The back of the picture was so torn up from being taken on and off the wall.
Oh, no.
So you can tell it's a pitch that he's doing. This is not something personal. He's not sitting down wanting to get to know us. He's going through his pitch, which I don't fault the guy. That's just what coaches do. And some of them, it's easier to throw a pitch than it is to try to be personal and relate.
Yeah.
So good, bad, or ugly, what Scott was telling us was watch out for yourselves and don't buy it hook, line, and sinker. So
and
Scott was a good dude. And Scott Ethan probably would have played for Nebraska had he not been offered the OU position.
So like was Ethan in love? Was he in love with OU, or was he more of like a Lincoln Riley player?
OU, born and raised. I mean, he come by it naturally because when I was back in the 80s, we would go to Thanksgiving at my grandparents' house, and my granny was a big OU fan. She liked OU, Nebraska, and Notre Dame. Nice. Those were her 3 teams. And then, of course, Alabama sometimes from back in the day. And Arkansas used to be pretty good, too, back during the Big 8 days. So she was into football, and we would come in there, and it was like Thanksgiving weekend, you know, the OU Nebraska game every year.
Yeah.
And we'd have 15, 20 people sitting down in front of this, you know, antenna TV.
All right.
it's not like the flat screens of today. We had
Oh
the
no,
giant console and
get the
all
old
that.
bunny ears out.
We would sit down there and pop popcorn and watch OU football every Thanksgiving, and it just kind of ingrained. Plus, we lived in Tulsa at the time, and I've always been an Okie. So born and raised, and he came by at Natural, especially after they. So he was born in '02. So by the time we were at '09 and 10, Sam Bradford had won a Heisman, and
Mm.
OU was still doing pretty good, playing in the wasn't the college football playoff, but it was the BCS or whatever.
Yeah.
He just loved it, loved Oklahoma football and what it meant and how passionate fans were, and couldn't help it.
Yeah, that OU fan base is something different. I tell you what.
He told me when he was 7 years old, he said, "Dad, I'm going to play for the Sooners, and I'm going
Nice,
to play in the NFL."
nice.
And everything he's done has been in that direction since then. So hopefully that all comes out.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of backtrack a little bit. You were talking about like the Scott Frost saying to watch out for the coaches. You almost got to be that way with the new name, image, and likeness stuff. Like,
Yeah,
man, that's got to be scary, kind of, man. There's so many sharks out there right now. It's insane.
well, the good thing that OU's done, and I'm sure other big schools are doing it too, is they use that influencer app.
I don't know about that.
INFLCR. It's an acronym for something, but it's called influencer.
Okay.
All of their NIL stuff has to go through that app, which is kind of like compliance, basically. They work directly with compliance. So they also provide the student athletes with pictures from games, different things in practices, stuff like that. And then these NIL companies can contact them through the influencer app and not directly.
Okay.
So a company, XYZ company, will call up OU and say, "Hey, we'd love to be an option for your student athletes." And give me a minute. We'd love to be an option for your student athletes. So will you add us to your list? And they'll do that. And so you can go into the app and you can scroll through different opportunities that are available out there, different things you can sign up for. The funniest one so far that I've seen is the Squatty Potty. Have you heard of Squatty Potty?
Yeah.
SquattyPotty.com. They actually reached out to Ethan specifically and asked him if he'd be interested. So, I mean,
hey, there's gonna be some running backs that are gonna have to be using the Squatty Potty this year.
But I asked around about it, and some guy's like, he's like, "Man, it's a game changer, really." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? For real?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't go back without it." Like, okay, I'll take your word for it for now.
Squatty Potty game changer. Nice, man.
But
Nice.
we might all have Squatty Potties in the house soon. It just depends.
On the house, Squatty Potty on the house.
Yeah, but no, the NIL stuff's a little. It's more regulated than most people think.
Yeah.
They've got to follow channels, and the kids can't enter an agreement without it being approved through compliance.
That's pretty cool.
So some of the ones that they fall victim to are things like the gaming sites that they want to film a kid gaming. The trick to those is when they record you playing, that is their content now in perpetuity for the rest of your life. So when they're signing up for $25 an hour to go play online and play games, they don't know they're signing away anything that's ever said in their room, in the background, anything that's done, because it's all recorded, and that company that's there owns it.
Wow, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So the kids have got to read these things.
Yeah.
They got to read them and read them close and see if it really applies. Because are you going to sign up for something that's going to get you 10 or 15 bucks a month? Why waste your time?
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't.
So
don't do it unless it's going to be highly beneficial to you.
Do they have like compliance officers at the universities that are like financial literacy people or something like that to help the athletes?
They can do some. Now they're limited as to what they can actually teach them. They can't teach them how to do their checkbook, because then you would be telling someone how to do something, and you could be liable if something went wrong.
Oh, okay.
So what they have advisors, and the kids have access, the players have access to go and get that financial counseling. And they also have some of that available on Influencer. There's a lot of videos that the players can go and look at and learn. And, you know, either they can get motivated by it or they can fix
Right.
what they're doing wrong by it or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that Influencer out, man. It sounds like a cool app.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and cruise on out, and I'll finish with the who, the what, and the why.
Okay.
And for the who is, was there somebody special in your life when you were growing up that just made you reach further, whether it be with school or at home or work or anything like that?
I probably didn't have someone like that until I was into my 20s
Okay.
and started working at FedEx.
Mm.
And had some mentors along the way through FedEx and through logistics and stuff that I learned a lot from along the way. And I don't keep in touch with most of them. There's one guy that I do still keep in touch with, but not any big major influence that I can think of. My grandpa probably
Nice.
was a big influence on me, and that's more of a subconscious influence of wanting to carry on the family name and
Okay.
do right by people and that kind of thing. That's more, I probably got more principle from him than anything.
Nice. So what is your definition of success?
Success comes in many forms. Success, I think, would be accomplishing a feat or a task, whether it's monumental or the smallest thing. Success is a positive reinforcement of whatever you were doing.
Nice. I like what Venable said with the doing stuff with intentionality, or I think that was,
Being
yeah,
intentional.
that
Yeah.
is, man, that's so deep and so true at the same time, man.
Mhm.
It's almost like the motive, if your motives are right, And so
Absolutely.
for the why, why why do you think Ethan loves this? He loves the game, right? The game of football. Why do you think he loves the game of football so much?
This obviously is in my words, but
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
competition. I think part of it is understanding the game too,
Mm.
and understanding what it takes mentally from both sides, and that it's a team sport. Some players that do individual sports love the individual sport because everything they do matters and is 100% attributable toward their success. Whereas a team, you have to have 11 players on each side of the ball that are all working together to accomplish whatever your goal is and have that success. So for an individual like Ethan who enjoys teamwork and enjoys that companionship, I think a team sport's great for him. And what better team sport than football, American football, where you actually have to put on pads and you have to guard your face and protect your teeth and,
All right.
wear pads down your thighs. And, it's just the ultimate grunt sport. And I love it. He loves it, enjoys getting bloody. As far as the gloves thing, I don't know if he's going to wear gloves in the season or not. He's doing it some right now, probably just so he can grip those shirts a little better.
All right.
That's the only reason that you would really wear the gloves is to be able to grip the shirts.
Yeah.
And get a guy out of the way because you got better friction.
I was watching a game a few years ago. It was the Packers and the Broncos, and the refs came through and they actually made all the Broncos offensive linemen go back and change their shirts because it had so much Vaseline on the front of the football jerseys. They're like, nah, dude, no.
That's like for boxing. Why do they smear the guy up with boxing, with the Vaseline before he gets in the ring?
Oh man, they put a
just
lot
to
of
make it last longer, make the punishment last longer.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I love the game of football too for that exact reason, man. Just teamwork, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment. When you get a group of guys that are all there for the same, one common goal. And
It's a brotherhood, you know.
it is, man.
It's a fellowship. It's a brotherhood. It's a team, you know. All those words into one great thing, and it's the OU football team. So
And that's why it hurts to lose so much, dude. Like people don't understand that. Like, why is he crying? Why is he crying? I'm sorry you never put a little passion in anything you did before.
exactly.
You know, it's like it's drives me nuts, man. But
Mhm.
I wanted to leave you with that quote too. Focus on the daily instead of the dream, but let the dream shape what you do daily.
Absolutely.
And we just gotta keep fighting on, man. And I really, really, really appreciate you stopping by and talking to me again, bud. And
No problem.
I look forward to the season, and I know Ethan's gonna wreck some backfields this upcoming season, man. I'm
He's
super
gonna have some
excited.
fun. I know he's looking forward to it. He's got to get meaner. He knows that. So he's gonna be working on that all summer, I
Nice.
think. And also, we're gonna do a T-shirt drop soon. So we'll
Oh,
have
okay.
maybe hopefully June 1st we'll do some T-shirts and
Nice.
run that out again. There's a local merchant here in Weatherford that puts his clothes in the store.
Okay.
So we're gonna get some for them and hopefully do a drop and see if the public wants to get back on this train a little
Oh
bit.
yeah. Heck yeah, man. Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I need to get a horns down before I go.
Boomer Sooner!
Boomer.
Sooner! Let's go!
Nice, baby. All right. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, take care. We'll see you,
All right.
Robert.